All right, so as mentioned yesterday, factory, hospital, we took care of that. That we spoke about at length. We'll get into brotherhood and brother Jack. But are there any questions? And I realize a couple of you were here yesterday, but are there any questions about things before getting into brother Jack, brotherhood, and all that kind of stuff that you want to make sure we touch on, or even kind of reiterate from yesterday, like you had an epiphany where you don't remember yesterday, and we need to revisit.
The people getting like evicted from their house, what was like the reason that? Like I understand, what's it called? The narrator kind of used that as a way to like preach to the people.
I mean, it's a spur of the moment
Yeah, like was it more like
thing that literally just kind of happens for him, and he doesn't seem to intend for there to be any kind of riot or disturbance starting to happen, and really even his speech, is we're dispossessed, we're law-abiding people, we're not folks who are going to turn this into a whole melee riot kind of thing. But that ends up being his kind of finding moment for Jack. But as to the reason for it, it is, and I don't mean this to sound like silly. Why don't you know this?
Yeah.
It's an eviction, so it would literally be the city removing people from their house, whether it be because of liens against a house, apartment, not paying rent, and so the property owner would be having them removed. But the part that's creating so much sympathy for it is the fact that they're so old.
Yeah.
And so you have all these personal belongings that are just kind of being brought out of the house, where not only do you see, an old couple coming out, but all of their stuff that is there that basically, it kind of turns into, is it a house or is it a home?
Yeah.
All of their home, personal belongings, all of that stuff is just out there, and it's about to be trashed. Totally separate book, but in some ways with Grapes of Wrath, John Steinbeck, or Morgan's Angry Fruit. VeggieTales does a wonderful rendition of it. But with they're moving from Oklahoma to California, and they have to sell stuff off because they can't take it all with them. And one of the chapters referred to is it's not, they're having like their yard sale, and Alec goes, I don't want to buy that stuff, that's junk. And they basically go, it's not junk, it's junked lives. Like our lives have pretty much been ruined. You have that kind of idea happening here that, all of their belongings are there that no one cares about, and basically their lives are now kind of viewed as being junk. One of the, and you don't have enough room in the little box for your motif chart, but one of the questions that we do on the study guide next week is going to be like, what are the belongings? And it's not that you have to list every single one out there, but what's the significance of some of those belongings that are there? So there's like Ethiopian flag. There's newspaper headline of Marcus Garvey being deported. Okay, so I got Lindsey Garvey and push. Yeah. Yeah. So it was the idea, and he's from Jamaica, but yeah, in Liberia, I believe, is where he wants to go. Where basically, if the U.S. isn't going to support us, then we should leave. But he much more aggressive, kind of person than even what Du Bois was. But all of these are belongings that just kind of line up with them.
Yeah.
And everything's getting thrown away, like their lives are getting thrown away.
Did he put something in his briefcase?
Yes.
What was it?
Like even like by the end of chapter 15, we're going to get into that one specifically. So I'm not ignoring you. I would say at this point, before chapter 10 beginning, so from prologue through chapter 9, if just like drawing the briefcase every time, what would be stuff that would be in here before we're getting into stuff that would be happening this time? But from prologue through chapter 9, what would be some things besides like socks and pens? But like, what would be actual documents? Like, we know he has several. He's got the letters from Bledsoe. So yeah, that is certainly going to be correct. Now the one he still had, like, because Emerson is showing it to him and whatnot. But yeah, so he has like the one letter. But he did have at least the letters from Bledsoe. Who knows if this is still in it? But what's the very first thing that he puts in his briefcase back in chapter 1? The scholarship that he gets for giving the speech. So the scholarship is in there.
And who knows if it's also in there, this is kind of speculative, but he gets the scholarship because he gives his speech. So, the idea that that speech is going to be in there. On maybe other than the letters, on the surface, none of these things are bad items to have. It's not, oh, you have a scholarship in there, how dare you. But now knowing about the school, the speech, the fact that it's cast down your bucket, knowing the intent of the letters, what kind of stuff does he lug around with him in his briefcase besides that? They're important things. I mean, scholarship and speech is important, but the letters are certainly a way for him to be kind of dismissed. He is kind of junk with the letters. Get rid of this trash, essentially is the idea. But it's a way that Bledsoe kind of has control over him. The speech we know is cast down your bucket, so that is a speech of submission. The scholarship takes him to the school, but what goes on in the school? But even if you don't get expelled from the school, I mean, you're absolutely right. You have that whitewashing, with the paint that's going on, or that brainwashing. So you have things that are his, but rather than it being stuff that's him, it's really ways that people have what over him, have power, have control over him. After he gets the briefcase, when he's getting the scholarship and whatnot, he has one of the dreams, and with his grandfather, and they keep opening up letters around envelopes. And inside the envelope is another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. And finally gets to one that opens up and it says, keep that blank boy running. Well, if you're keeping someone running, what are you kind of doing? Besides them getting tired. Kind of chasing them. But if someone's running, they don't really know, they don't have a destination. They don't know where to go. They don't have a place. Like Holden would kind of be a person who's kind of running all the time. Keep that boy running. Keep that boy from calming down, from being able to settle. Keep that boy from being able to kind of have his own identity. All of these things end up being ways that other people have control over him. Since we're talking about it, Tabitha, we may as well kind of mention what else goes into the bank. I would say there's two other items, or what goes into the briefcase. I just said one of them. What would be two other things that go into the briefcase? So there's the bank that in chapter 15 that he throws against the steam pipe that ends up like exploding, and so there's kind of like shards of metal to cast iron bank. That goes into the briefcase, and we'll get into really the significance of that one. You have a bank, it's all kind of broken, and then he also has one other thing that Jack gives him. Whoa. From the person who said she liked it. But yeah, his new identity, his new name. So the question kind of is going to become, and we'll get to this in a little bit, these are all things that have some kind of element of control over Tim. How does the bank, how does the new name exhibit an element of control over him? That's what we'll kind of try to sort of figure out. But, really, if you got a lot of stuff, not physical stuff, but you have a lot of things, not necessarily problems, but you have a lot of issues going on in your life, we would say that person has a lot of baggage. And so really with him in his briefcase, there's more and more baggage that he is just carrying with him. And as you, not to sound obvious, as you add more to it, it becomes heavier. And so it's harder to carry, it's harder to get rid of, it's harder to be able to move away from, and so you're constantly trying to have to deal with that. So those are two things that we'll definitely kind of get into here with Brotherhood and Brother Jack. Anything else? I realized something earlier this week. I was looking at the conversation with young Emerson. He's got a book on his coffee table when Tim goes in. Guess who the author of the book is? Doesn't say this in it. Freud. It's Freud's book where he talks about the id, the ego, and the superego. Mm-hmm. Well, no, that's not the name of it. It's jotted it down. Totem and something else, but it's Freud's book. How about that? Doesn't mean absolutely anything, but it's like, how about that? Freud. Yep. That's why Ellie's just going to keep reading the book over and over and over. She's going to be the guest speaker next year. H.G. Wells. It's not this one. Oh no. The Invisible Man. The Invisible Man is H.G. Wells, where it's more like the sci-fi, like person's invisible. I don't know if it's this week. I know it's soon. I mean, we'd have to have like a class field trip. We'd go to Aladdin's first, and then Tabitha works there. Then we go to Papa John's, get some pizza.
Yeah, I hear the free hotels at the county jail.
I like my actual dog.
There's no
Michael loves Aladdin.
Alec, what does the Brotherhood represent?
commies.
So, to be clear, Brotherhood is an allusion to Communist Party. The nice thing about this is Ellison has said many times on record, like during interviews, yes, the Brotherhood is meant to represent the Communist Party. So when someone goes, well, how do you know the Brotherhood represents the Communist Party? We can go, because Ralph Ellison said so. That's good enough for him, that's good enough for me. I don't think it's going to be like a total, oh my goodness, now everything kind of falls into place moment for it. But with it being the Communist Party, besides going, unpatriotic and all these kinds of things, what would, and this is a loaded question with Alec in the room, I realize, but what would be like ideas or ideals or concepts that we associate with it? I'm going to let other people talk first, but then we'll give you, so with Communist Party. Okay, Ruby? All right. Or kind of like, at least at the very least, the promise of equality, whether or not it actually happens is kind of debatable, but the promise of it. Okay, yeah. It's all about it. Right, and I'll even put like kind of revolution with it, because you have like change. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Godless, oppressive, totalitarian.
At the beginning, you read books.
No, I know history.
And I would also, and you didn't say it, but I kind of did, especially Red Scare 1950s, the idea for it is it's very un-American. Now, why this, well, not me, why would this be seductive to someone like Tim or any group of people that, are not feeling like they're getting a fair break? It'd be really mean if I called him Ruby right now.
Yeah, he's like, I got this one. It's like, you're invisible, and they're saying like, we're all like
Look at
equal.
you making like little novel
Yeah,
productions.
and we're like all equal. Like, that would be pretty enticing, I feel like.
Okay, so if you're like feeling invisible or that you're not being recognized, hey, yay, equality, that could happen. Gavin, do you have something?
I was going to say.
All right, Ruby, anything to add on to that? Yeah. It doesn't have to be Tim specifically, but. Right. Now, Alec would say that that's not going to happen. But yeah, the hope is that it will eliminate oppression. Right. It can't be any worse, right? That whole idea. And, you take a look at what we were mentioning yesterday within Liberty Paints. So right before you have the introduction here of the Brotherhood, you kind of have this, satirical depiction of the U.S. as that paint bucket that's like the antithesis of a melting pot. Since I'm being absorbed, since I'm forcing to assimilate as opposed to not blending in, but being able to mix with other people, other cultures, then I may as well give something else a shot, and here's where the Brotherhood works. Now, the Brotherhood, and this is going to be pretty clear by the end of today, the Brotherhood does not come off very well within the book. So Alec, rest assured, Ralph Ellison is not going, everyone should join the Communist Party. He's very upset with the Communist Party by the time post-World War II era is kind of coming around, because those things that were being promised or at least were being hinted toward end up not really kind of taking place for it. But the fact that everyone within the Brotherhood, is going to be known as brother or sister, that would be similar to what's been going on over here with everyone referring to one another as like comrade and all that stuff. But for those of you that read like 1984, you're not going to have that Goldstein chapter, where the book is being read and it feels like time slows down and comes to a crawl, where all that political theory stuff's going on. But Ellison certainly just kind of wants you to know, all right, here's pretty much what he would be taking a look at with that group. So
I read that chapter on a plane and it just felt like
It was brutally long. You just filled the page.
I had nothing else to do.
about 20 pages, I think.
It felt,
It was not bad.
it was that bad.
It was.
You're probably fast and just like,
What do we know about Brother Jack? He is white. I mean, and in a book where white and black, whether colors or race is important, it's important to know that he is white.
Sure.
Now. And he likes cheesecake. I like cheesecake.
Tiramisu.
What is it? What is it about Tim that Jack likes? Okay, speaking. Okay, so we need a speaker, and we need someone for this group of the population. The Brotherhood is predominantly a white organization. Tim is not the first African American to join it, and you'll see who others are. But it certainly would be a small segment of the Brotherhood. So Brother Jack, characterization, description, he's white with red hair, and he certainly finds the speaking ability. Tim's speaking is certainly intriguing to him. And as we got mentioned, also his race is kind of a cap in the feather because this is what we're looking for. What's Tim get? Remember how much, Tabitha, for anything?
Yes.
Almost, not quite 80. $60 a week. So by joining the Brotherhood, you're going to get $60 a week. Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad money.
I would take that right.
And he also gets an advance, a little bonus of $300.
Pay off the man.
What else does he get?
New clothes.
New apartment, clothes.
Good gig.
He doesn't have to get punched in the face for any of this stuff. And we already said what the other thing is that he gets. He gets a new name, a new identity.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, and that's no, I don't think so.
I'm getting that.
Which is a very pragmatic question. Okay, why do you need to change your name? And changing your name doesn't mean we're going now like Brother Michael, Sister Ellie. But like we're changing name. And some of us get excited. Oh, we actually find out what his new name is, and you still don't know what that name is. Okay, can't do that to you. Got to keep it consistent the whole way through.
At the back of the book,
my name.
name was
Yeah, but like I just stop it.
Any idea on why?
His name is.
Well, because if they like the police find out who he is, and like his speaking like causes riots.
Okay. And I mean, that could be, like, would you ever change your name for a job? Well, I guess if there's like criminal history you're trying to get away from, the whole blueprint thing fingerprint kind of eliminates that idea. But, yeah, if you're trying to protect someone's identity or change their identity because of consequences that could be happening, and I mean, he's already been involved in one riot, and the police were kind of looking for him, at that point as he's running across rooftops and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And what is to his advantage, not that they automatically know this, he hasn't been here long, so it's not like there is a record of this Tim guy around. Because number one, that's not his name, but number two, that he just literally hasn't been here physically. So yeah, maybe to kind of protect, make the asset handy, that works. And I mean, when you take a look at it in that way of it being symbolic, are they really worried about him as a person? No, but they're kind of using him more as a tool, as an object of use, something that is going to be handy to them. So basically, Tim is objectified, and I think the best example. Well, what do you think would be a good example of not Jack, but someone else definitely objectifying Tim?
Didn't Emma say he's not black enough?
Shouldn't he be a little blacker? So the idea of we need someone who's a speaker, and I think what Ruby, you said the fact that he's black is a reason that Jack would be interested, but maybe not black enough for Emma because he has to kind of fit the part in order to talk, in order to resonate, to communicate with a certain dynamic of the population that they want him to. White guy using a black person and giving him a new name. Booker T. Washington. Why is his last name Washington? Because the slave owner's last name was Washington. It's not like ode to George Washington or anything like that. So is it actual slavery taking place? No. But you have, really not a white brother, but more of a white master who is, yes, he's getting money, he's getting paid, he is getting benefits, but it certainly seems to kind of smack of 20th century, slavery in the 1940s or 1950s. And I would say that's probably the main reason symbolically, going along with what Ruby was kind of mentioning about, his identity not really kind of being important, but I think it does kind of resonate with that idea of slavery. And this is in New York. And certainly some of the viewpoints would be that racism, slavery, historically, was a what problem? Southern problem, but it's still going to be here in the North, wherever you are. It's not something that just by crossing Mason-Dixon line you can completely get away from. And I think we kind of touched base on this a little bit yesterday, but since he's going to be speaking, since he's going to be telling his story and he's getting paid by the wealthy white guy, it seems an awful lot like what was going on in Chapter 2 with True Blood, and he's completely kind of getting disgusted by that, but the same thing's kind of happening. Brockway, he doesn't like that person, but that's who he's kind of becoming. Now you didn't like True Blood, you're kind of becoming that person. So he's naive to this, but certainly you start to see those parallels kind of coming up. They have their little party. Anyone remember the hotel?
I can't pronounce it.
Something like that, because yeah, you're taking a look at it and go, can I get another vowel in here? Do you remember how to spell it? CHTHONIAN.
Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to explain.
Chitonia.
Isn't there like a
Chitonia.
Smithsonian. Museum. That's a museum.
Anagram?
That was good. Anyone know Cathonia?
Why would you?
It is. It's Greek.
How do you say that?
we 20th century English non-Greek speakers, we said Chthonian. That's probably not the actual way to say it. You're going what? Chthonian? There are Olympic gods and there are chthonic gods. Olympic gods are on Mount, so they're up high. Chthonic gods are
Down low on the earth.
somewhere on, yeah, and that's where it becomes very, it can be a wide ranging of realms or whatnot. It can be Earth. What gets associated with it, with Greece, would be that this is Hades. More so far as like that underworld. So the white guy with the red hair who has maybe some bad intentions with this, brotherhood, why don't you come to our to our party? It'll be a hell of a time.
Whoa.
That's pretty much where they're going. And so then down here is certainly where now you kind of have, the whole Emma be a little, don't you think he should be a little blacker? Within the Chthonian, the idea that he could be the next Booker T. Washington is presented. So it's the one time that Washington is actually mentioned, although we've certainly had allusions to him before. And he does delineate from the founder and Booker T. Washington, but I think you can still draw some pretty close parallels between those two. But basically, by him being the next Booker T. Washington, if we're going along with that whole bucket concept, cast down your bucket, submit to, especially white authority. Has a party, great time, wakes up. How's he feeling? Not great. Probably. So his head feels like it's going to explode. And then somebody in the complex is banging on the steam pipe, which is reverberating throughout the room. So what do? You pick up the bank, you throw it, and it explodes. What's the bank? It is.
Characterized.
Yeah, it's basically a derogatory caricature or a racist caricature. So yeah, you have a bank where it's a racist caricature. Big smile on the face of the bank because the bank has money. So you put the coin in the hand, the hand goes up, the money goes into the mouth, he's smiling. So you have a racist black caricature of smiling because of all of this money that it's getting. He throws the bank at the steam pipe, the head of the bank explodes. What's wrong with him physically? His head hurts. The bank on the head explodes. It's a smiling, racist caricature of a black man because he just got a lot of money in his belly. $60 a week, $300 advance, new apartment, new clothes. It's him. So, and this is the one time, at least so far, this is the one time that he cannot get rid of that he can't get rid of it because he is seen. So he has this in his briefcase now that he has, new name, which is going to signify ownership. But now he has this bank that's all broken, that's a racist caricature of him. It is a stereotype, it is a stigma, and he can't get rid of it because every time he tries, someone actually ends up seeing him. But this, money will make you happy, money will be enough to, make you do whatever you need. That is now a caricature coming from, a white authority figure, kind of like a Norton from earlier in the book. This is now part of him that he can't get rid of. So with chapter 16 on, there's going to be a lot more stuff that's going to be going into that briefcase. If he puts it into that briefcase, definitely take note of it. No, it doesn't mean you have to get the chart out and start writing it down, but certainly take note of what goes into the briefcase because whatever it is, it's probably going to be some kind of element, as you guys said, of control. And that's certainly not him being in control, but that's other people keeping control over him. speech, audience, blindfolds, boxing from chapter 1. Keep that at the forefront of your mind as you start reading